seeing you, Elise Jordan. It's meanwhile in Saudi Arabia today, meeting with a key U.S. ally. This is oil prices, they'll just keep surging and surging, briefly topping $109 a barrel before pulling back a bit. This is gas is topping $3.70 a gallon. A new report says that the U.S. would have to drill 30 to 40 new wells each month to significantly increase our supply to counter this. My next guest says, then we better start now. Jim Noe is with the Shallow Water Energy Coalition. Well, first off, Jim, that's not going to happen. So if it doesn't happen, what happens?
Well, I think two things happen. We import more oil from foreign sources like Gaddafi and the Saudis and the West Africans. We export the jobs that we would otherwise be creating by drilling here at home, and we increase our dependence on madmen like Gaddafi and undermine our economic recovery.
But, you know, I don't know how this permit process has gone, Jim, but it's been like pulling teeth, right? One every few months if we're lucky. So how are we going to speed this up?
It's a very good question. We have been now, and I'm here in Congress, I've been meeting with members of the administration and members of Congress for nearly a year now, begging for permits, and we still haven't really received more than a trickle. What we've seen so far is what we normally see in any month in a normalized environment. So we need 30 or 40 new wells to drill, says the report that was just released, in order to maintain flat production. We have production that's on the decline. Make no mistake about that. The EIA, the Energy Information Administration, the federal government's own information arm, has said that oil production in the Gulf of Mexico will decrease next year by 250,000 barrels a day. And that decrease will continue through 2011 and 2012. And ultimately, standing here in 2 years' time, we'll have 1/3 less oil coming from our own soils than we have today.
So let's say, quickly, Jim, that we get the permit process going. From permit to getting oil out of a well, how long does that take?
It depends on where the well is, but some of these wells, all we need to do is re-enter them. And a lot of the deep water permits that have been issued were actually permits that were already issued before the Macondo, and we're just re-entering wells and producing wells that had already been drilled. So if it's something like that, it could be very quickly. But you will have a dramatic impact today or tomorrow on the gasoline prices. Gasoline prices are set by the marketplace.
So psychologically, if they psychologically saw new supply was coming on tap, then prices would come down. Would that be enough to offset the constant pounding of Mideast firestorms, though?
Well, what we need to do is get beyond the fact that the gasoline price in Ohio is impacted by people like Gaddafi. We could do that. We have oil and gas here in America. The deep water, if it were a country, would be the 4th largest reserves. We were the 3rd largest oil producing country in the world last year. We have the resources. What we need is the will to drill. We have the means to drill. We need the will to drill. And unfortunately, the will to drill has to come from the White House, and I don't see it so far.
All right, so when the White House and Democrats respond by saying, look, we've given lands to a lot of these oil companies, they could tap away, and they're sitting on millions of acres and not tapping, so that argument is bogus. What do you say?
It's absolutely bogus. If there's oil and gas that could be produced, particularly in today's high oil and price environment, we would be producing it. It's just another head fake from the president. We've seen, we just saw the NCAA tournament basketball. It's a head fake. Like we've seen from the president for the last year. He's trying to fake us out into thinking that he's doing something to increase our domestic production when in fact he's destroying our domestic production. He tried to take credit for the increase in production we saw last year, which was put in place due to actions taken by President Clinton and President Bush. It's just another instance of a head fake from the president.
All right, so I'll put you down as not a fan of the White House. Joe Noe, Shallow Water Energy Coalition, good seeing you.
Neil, thanks so much.
All right, the shutdown is near, but Stossel is here. The government warning 800,000 non-essential workers could be affected.